I want to start by sincerely thanking the Auburn Board of Trustees, President Gouge, the Auburn faculty and administration for giving me such an honor to come and be your commencement speaker. I also want to take a moment to recognize the parents, the grandparents, the friends and family who are here today to support these graduates. I know you guys had your doubts. I live all the way on the other side of the country and I could feel them. But there's no doubt that your unwavering support and friendship over the many years has helped lead us here today together to celebrate a true life milestone, graduation day. And here we are. To the 2016 Auburn graduating class, you guys are about to receive a degree from one of the finest institutions on the planet. You have every reason to be proud and to celebrate and to be unbelievably hungover. Congratulations. Congratulations. I know this crowd. Today is really special for me too. You know, the first word I ever remember writing down, putting pen to paper, was the word Auburn. I was probably only about 3 or 4 years old, and to go from that day to be standing up in here in front of all of you is just unbelievably special. I will admit, part of the reason I remember that day so vividly is because I chose to write that word down on the side of my mom's Encyclopedia Britannica, the gold leaf binding, and she was not happy at all. So not only do I feel lucky to be here, I really feel lucky to be anywhere at this point. Speaking of my parents, Tom and Ernestine Moody, they're here today. My dad graduated from Auburn too. He was an engineering graduate as well in 1961. And since leaving Auburn, they have dedicated their lives to providing amazing support to me and my brother and my sister and to all of their grandchildren. Mom and Dad, I want to particularly thank you for all the open-minded guidance you gave me along the way. I particularly remember this piece of advice. Son, you can get any degree you want from any university you want right after you get your engineering degree from Auburn. Finally, they were right. Finally, I want to give a quick shout out to my niece Annie, who's here today in cap and gown, receiving her second degree from Auburn. Where is she? I've been looking for you, Annie. There you are. It's really, really special to go through this together because I know between the two of us, there's at least 2 people here that are excited that Auburn landed a data strategist as the speaker. You know, I've given lots and lots of talks in my life, some to audiences even bigger than this one, but there is something a bit intimidating about coming back to your alma mater and giving a commencement address. Fortunately for me, this is, as President Gouge pointed out, this is not Auburn's first graduation, and the administration was able to give me 2 surefire, can't-miss tips for a successful commencement address, and I'd like to share those with you now. The first tip, and I'm quoting here, your talk should be approximately 10 minutes. Just the kind of rich insights I was looking for. The second one, again quoting, you should offer a charge to the graduates. Now, I'll admit that I found this tip slightly less helpful because I had absolutely no idea what it meant. I sent an email to my assistant Shannon because she has a background in academia, and here's what she said to me when she responded. Chris, these men and women have just accomplished something that's extraordinary. Your job as a commencement speaker is to deliver a call to action that will help ensure their lives continue to be extraordinary once they leave the university. To which I responded, oh, that sounds way harder than the 10-minute thing. Fortunately for me, an enterprising young man that works on one of my teams at Twitter, who's always looking to advance his career, had this insight, which I thought was particularly interesting. If someone wants to experience an enlightened life and an extraordinary journey, Chris, the best thing they can do is follow you on Twitter. To which I said, yes, that sounds exactly right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out your phone. Don't pretend like you don't already have Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat open. And I want you to search for me on Twitter. I'm Chris Moody, and you just hit the following button. This is actually an experiment because the naysayers of Twitter claim that you have to have a college degree to figure out how to use it. So we're about to find out. I'm telling you right now, it's going to look bad for all of us if only the PhDs figure out how to follow me. I'd like to offer a few more serious observations while you're figuring out how to follow me on Twitter. You know, in the 26 years since I graduated from Auburn, I had the opportunity to work with some really amazing people, people that are changing the world and making the world a better place. Some of these people are doing it through technology that's impacting hundreds of millions of people, and some of these people are making just as big an impact, but they're doing it one person at a time. The thing that they all have in common is that they believe it requires hard work to accomplish their goals. Now, you guys are no stranger to hard work. Let's face it, you chose a university who has the words, "I believe in work, hard work," right in your creed. And you've worked really hard to be where you are today. But I'm here to tell you that increasingly in this world, the idea of working hard is getting a bad reputation. One of my least favorite cliches is the following: nobody has ever said, "I wish I had worked harder," on their deathbed. Have you guys heard that one? I hate it. First of all, is there somebody that's really responsible for going around and recording all deathbed regrets? If so, here's my first call to action to you. When you leave this university, do not take the job where you're responsible for recording all deathbed regrets. That is not a good job. So, I think it's far more productive to think about what people would do when they look back on their life and feel good about things like being a parent. Now, we have an entire arena full of people who figured out long ago that you can't be a great parent by just going through the motions. Being a parent is really hard. It's full of uncertainty and doubt. And the difference between being a good parent and a great parent is just the amount of work that you put into it. And here's the thing. That's true about just about everything in life. The difference between good and great is just effort. By the way, if you figured out how to follow me on Twitter by now, that's an excellent quote to tweet. So I'll admit that some of my friends in Silicon Valley, we haven't done the world any favor by creating this notion of an overnight success. You guys all know the story. A couple of people in a garage come up with the idea, and the next day they've created a hugely successful business. Well, I'm here to tell you that it just isn't true. The reality is that ideas on their own have no power. Ideas only gain power if individuals are willing to take up the effort and make them a reality. The leaders that I admire in Silicon Valley have a mantra that's similar to the Auburn Creed, and it goes like this: it's not about the idea, it's about the execution. So I'd like to offer you a little bit of a tip. You're going to hear this a lot in life from this point on, which is something is too hard. And I'm here to tell you, when people say that to you, more times than not, they're pointing you right at an opportunity for you to go out and make an impact and make a difference. So working hard is a really powerful tool, but when combined with another really amazing ingredient, the results can be truly magical, and that ingredient is kindness. Now, it may feel a little weird for an old guy with an engineering degree to talk to you about kindness. So let me put it into mathematical terms. I'm a big fan of the chaos theory. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but here's how it's defined. A branch of mathematics that deals with complex systems whose behavior is highly sensitive to slight changes in conditions. By the way, human beings are very complicated systems. So that small alterations can give rise to strikingly great consequences. Remember that last part. Small alterations can give rise to strikingly great consequences. In my observation, there is no better example of the chaos theory than kindness. Let's take, for example, the fact that I'm up here talking to you today. My journey here actually starts back in the late 1950s. To be clear, that was way before I was born. My parents were actually checking out schools. My dad wanted to get his engineering degree, and they had all but settled on a very fine engineering school a couple of hours from here. On a whim, after visiting that campus, they decided to pop by Auburn. They had never been here before. And as they walked around campus, they were absolutely blown away by the kindness that was exhibited to them. The number of people that asked them if they needed help or directions, they must have looked very lost. Or the people that just said in that very Auburn way with a sincere smile, "Hey." It had such a big impact, the kindness of the Auburn family, that they immediately changed their mind and they decided to enroll in Auburn instead. So think about that from a chaos theory. A couple of random strangers back in the late 50s were kind to some other strangers who looked lost, and it forever changed the course of my life because my parents began to fall in love with Auburn that day, and when I was born, they passed that love on to me. I wish I could go back and hug those people. They have no idea what impact they had on my life or the special relationship that I have with this university. It is so true. Small alterations around kindness can have such a great impact. Now, sometimes working hard and being kind can feel like opposing forces. Sometimes in our rush to conquer great things, we can find obstacles in our way, and sometimes those obstacles look like other people. And to be clear, I'm not just talking about Alabama fans here. Although I agree, we can all probably agree they're the worst. No, I'm talking about in our rush to meet our goals, we sometimes feel like we need to take shortcuts when it comes to other people's perspectives or feelings. And those shortcuts can sometimes feel like the opposite of kindness. The reality is, being kind can sometimes be the hardest work of all. I want to share one last story, or President Gooch is going to pull me off the stage here. Early in my career, I had just been out of Auburn a couple of years. I ended up in a management position managing a large team of software engineers. I was young and inexperienced and super insecure about my management abilities. So what I did was I surrounded myself with a small group of people that I thought I could trust. Now, I wasn't following some kind of leadership handbook. I was doing just the opposite. I was just doing what felt natural and safe. But what I was really doing was creating an artificial buffer between me and some people that really mattered a lot. Effectively, I was creating an us versus them atmosphere, and I can tell you, it was a disaster. Today, I take a fundamentally different approach because I have the benefit of data. For 26 years, I've gone out and worked with thousands of people, and I'm here to tell you that 99.9% of them are filled with good. Sometimes you just have to dig a little bit to find the goodness. And so now, when I approach people, I look for the best in them, and I assume that I can trust them. And I don't know if it'll work for you, but I can tell you for me, it leads to a far more fun, interesting, and productive place. It feels like we increasingly live in a world where it's us versus them, and to me that feels so destructive. There just is no place for hate or exclusion, but there is a huge opportunity for you, the 2016 graduates of Auburn University. You can all go out in the world and deliver atomic levels of chaos by taking the kindness that's so core to being part of the Auburn family and extending it to every person you meet from here on out. Small alterations can give rise to strikingly great consequences. You know, I'm not big on remembering quotes, but there's one quote that has always stayed with me, and I think about it honestly 2 or 3 times a day as I'm deciding how I'm going to respond in a certain situation. The quote actually comes from the Dalai Lama, and it's as follows: "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." And that's it. That's my wish for you as you continue your extraordinary life journey. Work hard, be kind, follow me on Twitter. Congratulations, and War Eagle.